Stephen Miller is the deputy chief of staff and, in a way, an architect of the president's immigration and border security policies this time around in the second term. He's also a native of Southern California. He grew up, I believe, in Santa Monica, California. He has forgotten more about immigration law than most people in Washington, D.C. will ever know. You do not go toe-to-toe with Stephen Miller based on the law or based on the Constitution and the executive branch's responsibilities in maintaining law and order. He was incredibly active over the weekend on the X platform. And what we want to do is sort of go through what Stephen Miller observed, what he commented on, and what he shared over the weekend, because he was so spot on. We begin on June 7th. This was Saturday as the scenes were unfolding before our eyes. It says protesters surrounded the federal detention center in Los Angeles. California isn't backing down. This is a full-blown standoff with the feds. Again, I want to reiterate, these were federal buildings that were under assault. The federal government, led by the executive branch, President Trump, they have an obligation to protect federal buildings. I don't know what it is about Democrats and their desire to attack federal facilities and create a civil war. But we're going all the way back to Fort Sumter now on this baby. Stephen Miller commented on that and said, an insurrection against the laws and sovereignty of the United States. That's exactly what this is. This isn't some, Soros protest with pre-printed signs. I mean, it may be. But when you go after federal buildings and you start attacking and vandalizing those buildings, making it an unsafe condition for the federal officers, well, then again, the administration has an obligation to protect the sovereignty of the United States federal government. That's just how it goes. Stephen Miller, once again, where the Los Angeles police chief released a statement after the ICE raid on Friday, saying that his officers are not going to cooperate with ICE in any way. Stephen Miller siding with invaders over citizens. And that's 100% what happened. Just understand, when law enforcement and elected officials say that we're not going to cooperate with the federal government because we don't like what they're doing to illegal immigrants, what they're doing is protecting citizens of a foreign country against law enforcement and the government of the United States of America because they don't like the way the election went. And I'm supposed to be brokenhearted about January 6th, which lasted 3 hours? Stephen Miller, once again, if we don't fix this, we don't have a country. And then he brought it back to the big, beautiful bill. Understand that one aspect of the reconciliation package that Stephen Miller is going to comment on quite a bit here is the fact that it increases ICE's budget. It increases border security, increases their ability to enforce the law. He also retweeted the U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles. Federal law enforcement operations are proceeding as planned this weekend in Los Angeles County. I urge the public to refrain from interfering with these lawful actions. Anyone who obstructs federal agents will face arrest and prosecution. That's the bottom line. Mike Cernovich, who is from Orange County, California, said, we want the border closed and we want mass deportations. Don't care what it costs. Nothing else matters if this isn't handled. Stephen Miller agrees and says yes. He also retweeted Dan Bongino. We're currently seeking information regarding the identity of the person throwing rocks at vehicles conducting critical law enforcement operations. The thing that we all saw that the reporter for MSNBC refused to see. He also retweeted Senator Mike Lee saying this is Biden's invasion. It is, but I would also say this is Gavin Newsom's California. I mean, absolutely. This is the fruits of Joe Biden and the lax border security. All of these people who came into this country who are now throwing rocks and setting fires and waving the flags of their country, they're here because Joe Biden allowed them to, invited them to come into this country. But the fact that it's happening in Los Angeles in this way, this is Gavin Newsom now. Understand, this is what Gavin Newsom has wrought in California. Also, Bill Maloogian from Fox showing that there are basically Border Patrol SWAT teams now trying to protect other law enforcement officials. Stephen Miller also tweeted out this video from inside the car. Did you see this video? Let's take a look at it real fast. That's Border Patrol agents dodging rocks, bricks, and concrete blocks thrown at their car. You remember how Maxine Waters said that she didn't see any violence at all? Stephen Miller tweeted that and said it's a violent insurrection, and that's exactly what it is. He also noted the foreign flags flying in American cities to defend the invasion and defy federal law. Stephen Miller just on a roll, on a roll, on a roll on X, and everything is undeniable, his observations here. He then said, deport the invaders or surrender to insurrection. These are the choices. That's right. Take a look at this. This is on the expressway in Los Angeles, the 101 freeway called the Hollywood Freeway. Oh, excuse me, Paramount. So this is the 405 if this is Paramount. But look at them. They're actually
continues to just
they're actually on the this looks like the city street right near the expressway, where they are standing in front of the bus for the U.S. Marshal used to get the criminal illegal immigrants that have been apprehended by ICE. They're like trying to push the bus away. This was on Friday in Paramount, California. This is well, no, wait, if it's Paramount, I'm sorry. I thought it was Carson, which would have been the 405. The Paramount would probably be the 710 freeway, actually, in East LA. Look at this scene. This is who Maxine Waters is defending. This is who Kamala Harris is calling your immigrant neighbors. And Stephen Miller is right, as he calls this invaders, deport invaders or surrender to insurrection. That's really the choice at this point. All right, a little bit more. Hang on. A lot of Stephen Miller retweeting people here. So this is Cernovich calling out Senator Rand and Congressman Massey. Come on, gentlemen, let's hear why we haven't spent enough on the border. And Stephen Miller says, stand with ICE and the Border Patrol and pass the big, beautiful bill. That's a dig at those two Republicans who are opposing the reconciliation package. He retweeted J.D. Vance saying insurrectionists carrying foreign flags and attacking immigration enforcement officers, while one half of America's political leadership has decided that border enforcement is evil. Time to pass President Trump's beautiful bill and further secure the border. It is amazing that the timing of this occurred just as the Senate is debating and wrangling about the big, beautiful bill. And the administration could point to this and say, you want to stop what's going on in LA? You got to fund the border properly. We're dealing with funding that the Biden administration had, which, of course, they didn't care about it at all. So it is one area where they've actually increased the budget and made it more effective. Let me scroll through and find you more. Again, here's the picture, not a American flag in sight. Here is the quote. Lots of Mexican flags. Lots of Mexican flags right in the middle of this intersection. Everybody doing donuts. By the way, you know why a lot of the illegal immigrants drive mini bikes and motorcycles is because they can't get a driver's license. Not because you can't get a driver's license in California if you're illegal or not. Oh, no, that's fine. But it's because they violated the law even beyond that. So a lot of times they end up getting motorcycles and mini bikes because they can't legally drive a car, not because of their immigration status. Stephen Miller tweeted that and said it's an insurrection. He then tweeted again, this is Friday night, late Friday night, we will take America back. They then have ID'd many of the people that had been arrested, criminal illegal aliens that ICE was, including convicted sex offenders, gun offenders. Gene Hamilton, political commentator, tweeted that out and said, imagine telling a young man returning from World War II approximately 80 years ago, we just acknowledged the D-Day anniversary, that someday violent radical rioters would be on the streets of Los Angeles trying to stop criminal illegal aliens from being deported, and elected officials in California would side with the illegal aliens. I would go one step further and say Harry Truman's party. You know, you tell that World War II vet who just came back from winning the war in Europe, saying, hey, just so you know, Harry Truman's party, 80 years from now, they're going to be siding with foreigners from foreign nations who have been convicted for sex crimes against children. And they're going to go all in on protecting them over the rights and safety of American citizens. James Woods tweeted this picture out, says, "This says it all. Enough is enough." And Stephen Miller concurred, "Enough is enough." Oh, look at that. He retweeted our friend Kurt Schlichter. "Choose a side, America." Yeah. That's really where we are right now. This is a turning point. And it's not often that you see a turning point right after an election, but that's exactly what we're seeing. All right. And then early Sunday morning, he comments on Terry Moran. Terry Moran of ABC News. This guy, you may remember him. He was the guy ABC News sent over to the Oval Office to get an exclusive interview with Donald Trump. They're like, "Why are you sending Terry Moran?" Well, you can't send David Muir because we know already now that he cheated during the presidential debate. And so Trump will lay into him for that. You can't send George Stephanopoulos because he just settled a $16 million defamation suit with Donald Trump after he lied about Trump. You can't send Martha Raddatz because she just cries every time she's in front of Trump. Remember how she cried on election night in 2016? You can't send Jonathan Karl because he continues to have blood coming out of his eyes whenever he reports on Trump, constantly lies about him. How about the cast of The View? See, these are the people. These are the superstars at ABC News. So they send this guy, Terry Moran. He's the best we got. And, he calls it right down the middle. He doesn't have a political bias like those other guys. Oh, really? Here's what he put out on Saturday night after witnessing Stephen Miller's activity on X. "The thing about Stephen Miller is not that he is the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he's one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. It's not brains, it's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater." This is ABC News journalist Terry Moran. You can see this just by looking at him because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Did he think he was texting this to somebody? Or like Anthony Weiner, he thought this was a DM, but he erroneously put it out because he has deleted this, I assure you. Trump is also a world-class hater, but his hatred only a means to an end. And that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. That's Terry Moran. What a guy, huh? ABC News has subsequently suspended him. Suspended? Not fired? Suspended? What is there? Maybe an excuse? Maybe you put him on probation. When he comes back, he promises he won't think like this anymore. No, this is who he is. No one could possibly ever see a report from Terry Moran ever again without knowing that this is exactly what he thinks about Republicans, about you for voting for these people who are full of bile and hatred. How on earth does Disney and ABC News keep this guy around? Suspended? By the way, ABC News, is he being paid while he's suspended? I'm curious. Is this like a vacation? Does he get to go to the Virgin Islands and just sort of tan himself while he cashes his paycheck? Please share with us the terms of this suspension. I'd love to know. Stephen Miller replied to that Sunday morning. When he woke up, he saw what Terry Moran had said. "The most important fact about Terry's full public meltdown is what it shows about the corporate press in America. For decades, the privileged anchors and reporters narrating and gatekeeping our society have been radicals adopting a journalist's pose." Terry pulled off his mask. 1,000% right. Andrew Breitbart is cheering you from beyond the grave, Stephen Miller. That's right. Think of the names that I just laid out there: George Stephanopoulos, David Muir, the cast of The View, Terry Moran, Martha Raddatz, Jonathan Karl. These are the people that ABC News has decided to be the gatekeepers and editors, making news decisions about what information you receive as a viewer and in what way you receive it. Every single one of them, all the way down the line. That's the power structure of ABC News. There is only one employee on the payroll at ABC News that I know for a fact voted like we did and thinks like we did. His name is Reince Priebus. He's an analyst. He gets about 5 minutes a week on the roundtable on This Week with George Stephanopoulos. That's it. He doesn't make any decisions. He doesn't make any editorial calls. He doesn't deliver the news to you. He just gives his opinion, and he's the only one. He's the only one. No one else at that entire network thinks that Trump is anything less than fascist Hitler Satan. Disney has a real problem over there on their hands. They might want to do something about it. A little bit more from Stephen Miller. Chase Oliver tweeted, "California, this should be a national mood. Keep it up." He's celebrating the protest. He's celebrating the insurrection. Stephen Miller points out that that was the Libertarian candidate for president. Yeah, the Libertarians have lost their mind on this thing too. DC Drano tweeted out, "This is what California Democrats want all of America to look like. This is why we need mass deportation." Look at that. Look at that. Stephen Miller retweeted that one as well. Those are your California men who are participating in this. He also tweeted out defying Rand Paul. Rand Paul's out there saying how the big, beautiful bill is too much spending, too much spending. It may be too much spending, but it also is about providing ICE the resources, and Stephen Miller laid that out there. Even a modest sum to repel the invasion. Rand libertarians are aghast. As it happens, each deportation saves taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's right. Then he retweeted Pam Bondi. Stephen Miller, very busy this weekend. I just want to once again, going after Rand Paul. By the way, as you know, Stephen Miller and Elon Musk had a bit of a dust-up. Stephen Miller was really pushing back on Elon over all of his criticisms of the big, beautiful bill, and he protected Donald Trump. After all of Stephen Miller's activity this weekend and being attacked by Terry Moran and all of the statements that he made that we're sharing with you, Elon Musk this morning started following Stephen Miller on X. Do we think that everything's okay now? Do you think that they're like, the bros are back together? Maybe. I think this was a wake-up call for Elon Musk as he saw exactly what opposing Donald Trump manifests itself to. You got to take a side. I'm sorry. You may be unhappy with stuff that's going on in the administration. You may have your own personal grudge. But when it comes to the existence of our nation and the enforcement of our laws and keeping order in our streets, you got to pick a side. And Elon Musk, I think, is back in the fold. U.S. Northern Command confirms that elements 79th Infantry Brigade combat team from the California National Guard had begun deploying in the Los Angeles area, with some already on the ground, again, to protect federal assets. Kurt Schlichter, senior columnist at Townhall and best buddy of mine, actually used to be the one of the commanders of that very infantry brigade when he was in the National Guard. Stephen Miller tweeted that out and said the wording is carefully structured to avoid expressing support for the National Guard, for ICE, or for mass deportation. This is the wording of Congressman Massey. I condemn the violence in LA. I support a strong border and agree strongly with deporting criminals. But he didn't support the ICE activities or the mass deportation. So Stephen Miller was very much engaged with Massey and Rand Paul. Here, the New York Times wants you to feel bad for violent, criminal, illegal aliens, including pedophiles, rapists, and murderers. The real headline, a local judge with no right to intervene in immigration or national security has sided with illegal criminals. Stephen Miller then retweeted Abigail Jackson's observation of that. Said these illegals were all tried and convicted for extremely violent murders and sex crimes against children. Democrat judge has halted their deportation. The system will lose its legitimacy if it doesn't allow President Trump to carry out his mandate to repel the invasion. We're only at Sunday morning, by the way, with Stephen Miller's observations. Rioter flying a foreign flag to block ICE deportations. This is the symbol of the Democrat Party. I really think you need to follow him, and you can scroll through and see this all for yourself. He is absolutely on fire and really coming into his own as a spokesperson for this president's policies. Going after the LA mayor. Los Angeles will always stand with everyone who calls our city home. Translation, the mayor sides with the criminal invaders and rioters over the federal law enforcement officers. And by the way, over the citizens and taxpayers of Los Angeles who don't have a voice right now. But I assure you, they want their city streets back too. And everybody thinks LA is, it's blue, it's Democrat, it's blue, it's Democrat. Yeah, I've lived there. Trust me. You'd be surprised. I know they always vote this way. I get it. But you'd be surprised. All right, a little bit more from Stephen Miller here as he retweeted. And then he had time. This is what he had time for a really good golf shot in there because he's just a guy on social media. Once again, look at the flags. He points out, look at all the foreign flags. Los Angeles is occupied territory. All right. I'll just get to one more thing that he did because it's worth noting. He retweeted me. This was my tweet, Gavin Newsom's America. And he quote tweeted that and said, California is the largest sanctuary state in America. States ordered every police department and sheriff's office in the state not to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, even if they were committed grievous crimes. Illegals are given free welfare, health care, and every other conceivable state benefit. They're made immune in every way. Simply put, the government of the state of California aided, abetted, and conspired to facilitate the invasion of the United States. And that's all under Governor Gavin Newsom, a man who would be president right now. That's absolutely 100% true. That's what's going on in California. And they would absolutely love to California your state if they have the opportunity to do it. As he said, this is a time for choosing right now. We just had the election. The president is carrying out exactly what you wanted him to do. And now we're at a crossroads yet again because they are trying to turn this into a legal, political, and even violent confrontation in this country. And whichever way this goes will determine the future of our nation for years and years to come. Miller's right on it here, and he is fearless. And the president is very lucky to have him.